Ladies and gentlemen, we lost a player this week. Former Steelers and Commanders quarterback Dwayne Haskins has tragically passed away after being struck by a car. The former Ohio State Buckeye set records in total offense in a season with 4,900 plus yards, total offensive yards in a game with 477, and total passing yards in a game with 470. He won MVP award in the 2018 Big Ten Football Championship and 2019 Rose Bowl, all Big Ten honors, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week awards, and the Graham George Offensive Player of the Year, as well as the Greasy Breeze Quarterback of the Year, the Chicago Tribune Silver Football, and the Male Ohio State Athlete of the Year awards. He was a semifinalist for the Maxwell Award and finished third in the Heisman Trophy voting before entering in the 2019 NFL Draft. As a student, he majored in journalism, the same thing I'm going for. He was one of my all-time favorite Ohio State players to watch. Haskins was known off the field for his charity work. He spent off time reading children's books to elementary students, participating in community outreach events, and helping find those in need a new home. He handed out backpacks, school supplies, and hygiene kits at a Pittsburgh back-to-school event. He also took a group of kids out to Dick's Sporting Goods to go shopping for winter gear. In December, he also handed out Christmas gifts, food, shoes, socks, and many other things to families that needed it. Despite his great on-field resume, it was no match to how great of a person he was off the field. He was 24 years old when he passed. The boys over here at the Pigskin Project wish him an easy rest, his family, friends, and fans quick healing. And lastly, rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins.
And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
And here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. Picked off. Look out. Gets past Manning, and it's Tracy Porter taking it all the way. Touchdown, New Orleans.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pigskin Project. After a long week, we actually have a little bit of news regarding football and everything. But first, Ben, how have you been doing, man?
I've been doing great. Like you said, we got a couple smaller tidbits of news, but I mean, I'm really just counting down the days until the draft comes. And I know this comes out on a Friday, but we're recording this on a Thursday. So as of the time of the recording, we have 2 weeks left. So it'll be fun.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing great.
Yep, I'm really looking forward to it. But I mean, first we got to get through these next couple weeks, and I mean, of course, that there's going to be all kinds of different rumors and extensions and all that. So let's get right into that because we have quite a bit of weekly news. Raiders quarterback Derek Carr signed a 3-year, $121 million contract. I mean, I think he earned it. I think, to a certain extent, I mean, he is the franchise quarterback, but
he's just so much money is for this year that makes him the 5th highest paid quarterback.
Yeah.
And not to spark this up. If you guys want to hear our opinions on this, go and listen to the last episode that we put out. But he's making more money than Patrick Mahomes is this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Bonkers. But
yeah,
good for him for going out and grabbing the bag. And I know it's structured in a really good team friendly way because I know he mentioned that he wanted to do like a team friendly contract because he said he didn't want to hurt like the other guys because he said he was really, really sad that they had to trade his close friend Khalil Mack after he signed that other contract extension. So
right. Yeah. Next up, the Panthers have talked to numerous teams about moving back from number 6 overall. This is really interesting to me, strictly just because it's a draft day trade. To be honest with you, I think that we're going to see a lot more trades this year than, potentially last year. But I'm looking forward to it, man, because I think, within the top 10, we're going to have a lot more trades than people kind of work out to be.
Realistically, we always, and this is something I fall to as well, but we always, the weeks coming really close to the draft, we always hear these hype about teams trading, and boy, would I love my Eagles to trade up in that 6th spot and take my guy, Kyle Hamilton, who we'll get to a little bit later. But trades within the top 10 don't happen a lot. We might get 1 or 2 of them a year, but we always, like, the weeks before the draft, we always get like these hype about all these different movements. And I fall in this trap every year. And this might come back and burn me because I made a few different predictions on an old podcast, and it, of course, didn't happen. But I would be very surprised if we get more than 1 trade. I might look stupid in 2 weeks, but I feel like I always fall for this trap. I'm just, but yes.
The best thing that I do is just to stay optimistic. I mean, just hope for the best. Honestly, that's all you can do. Who knows what's going in those draft rooms? But next up, speaking of who knows what's going in the room, behind closed doors, Baker Mayfield says that he feels disrespected 100%. He was told one thing and they completely did another. And since then, the Seahawks have since been listed favorites to be Baker's next team. And honestly, I straight up can't see him being a backup right now. I still think that he's a starting quality quarterback, even though he might be on the lower end. But I think last year was a really, really rough comparison compared to other years. It was just a down year for him. I think that he has potential to bounce back, but he needs another opportunity with that, and it's just clearly not Cleveland.
Yeah. I agree. It just, as for the told one thing and something else happened. I mean, that's the NFL. The NFL is never going to show their hand. That's just the business that he's in. And realistically, about halfway through this year, we kind of already started to get the sense that they weren't going to keep him long term. I mean, I think it was like our second podcast that we were talking about this. So if he was shocked or surprised, that's just silly on his part, because they kind of showed us their hand. I mean, pretty early on this season that he was not going to be their guy. So for him to be for him to be mad about it, it's one thing, but for him to be shocked and surprised is another.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And if you guys haven't listened to that episode that he referenced, definitely go back and check out our history, because we've talked a lot about Baker Mayfield. But anyway, next up, Jameson Williams could be the first wide receiver taken, and Atlanta is close to that situation. And he's also been compared to Jamar Chase last year before the draft. I like it.
I don't know if I would go as far to say he is Jamar Chase. But I think these last 2 or 3 weeks I've been pretty vocal about my opinion of him being the number 1 wide receiver in this class. Anybody who drafts him is going to get a good player. I mean, his lateral agility is amazing. His obviously straight line speed is amazing. His explosion's amazing. He runs solid routes. He catches the tough ball. Really, the only thing that you would say the only thing that you'd say he doesn't have is contested catch ability, but it's not that he can't catch it. It's just not something that you'd see somebody like Drake London. But like I said, dude, anybody who drafts him is gonna is going to get a great player. And honestly, the Falcons having interest in him, I could absolutely see.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with just about any, all the points that you made there too. Um, I mean, anyway, we'll get there. If you guys haven't been listening, check out the mock drafts episodes because those are a little bonus. Unfortunately, those will be coming to an end here in a couple weeks, but fortunately, we do have something special cooking up that we will get to later this episode. So stay tuned. But next up, Kyle Hamilton is falling down the draft boards and could be potentially falling out the top 10. Ben, this was your like top guy or one of the top guys at least on your draft board. What are you feeling?
Again, I've said it time and time again. I don't really think it's too close either. He's the best player in this draft. In the two things that are really hurting him that are making this come out is his slower 40. I think he ran a 4.46, 4.5. And people are mad that he ran. It was either a 4.5 or a 4.6. And that's hurting him. And then the fact that he plays safety, but not to sound like a jerk, but for him to fall out of the top 10 would just be ridiculous because you're clearly not watching the film and you're clearly not looking at what he can offer if you don't think he's a top 10 talent. And it would just, I don't know. It'd be crazy. I mean, I hope he falls out of the top 10 because if he falls out of the top 10, that allows hopefully my birds to kind of come in there and get it. But you don't, I'm willing to say that he's a generational prospect, and you don't let generational prospects with his side speed, quite literally side to side speed and how big he is and how hard he hits. It's to let a guy slip out of the top 10 like that would just be malpractice.
I get you. Let's see. Matt Corral has been regarded by Eagles representatives as the QB1 in the draft. Ben, why don't you tell me a little bit about your position on Matt Corral? Because, I mean, we both know, I mean, you're a pretty big fan of him, but, I remember sitting here in the scouting combine and you being like, I love that guy. That guy's awesome. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, I love Matt Corral. I don't think he's going to be, I don't think I'd be surprised if he gets taken in the first round. I really think there's only going to be 2 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Maybe he can sneak there in the back end, but realistically, he has a little bit of Malik Willis and a little bit of Kenny Pickett. I think he can come in and play right away. I'm not going to say he's pro ready because obviously all rookies have growing pains, but I think he can come in and play versus Malik Willis will have to sit a year. But he also isn't lacking that upside that Kenny Pickett has. So I love him. And I think as for the Eagles, I think it's getting a little blown out of proportion. The Eagles are not taking a quarterback this year. They're just doing their due diligence. This literally happens every year. People are overreacting.
Well, who knows? We've stated it before. I mean, who knows what's going on? He could be on the trade block at this point. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen, or Jalen Hurts could be. I mean, but anyway, Ben, believe it or not, we have some football coming up this weekend, man. Like live on television football, and it is not the NFL. But after a 37-year hiatus, the 8-team USFL will first play a 10-week regular season that will begin on Saturday, April 16th, or tomorrow if you're listening to this on Friday. So basically what I'm going to do with Ben, and I mean, I encourage all the listeners or whatever to do this as, we kind of play along. Ben, I don't have really any experience looking at any of, the teams or whatever. I was looking it up a little bit when, you were talking and stuff, just basically looking over the teams, seeing what their uniforms are like and whatnot. I think that that's a pretty crucial thing in terms of picking a team. Unfortunately, there is not a Chicago team, but and then I'll obviously go over a little bit about each team, or a couple of the teams too, as we go over it. So, and I'm basically, what I'm doing right now, for those that can't see, I am showing Ben the uniforms and whatever, so he can get a feel for maybe a team that he'd like to root for as the USFL is going on, and maybe we'll cover that in future episodes.
So real quick, I do know a bit about it. I actually watched they had their little supplemental draft probably 2 months ago. I watched it, I followed with the picks. Obviously, I'm going to be a Philly Stars fan.
Okay.
But I already don't have high hopes for the USFL just because of the draft. I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll be fine, but and that this is coming from a stupid college kid. But like they had their supplemental draft, and the way that the quarterbacks came off the board was just terrible. Like the guys, they're like Shea Patterson, I think, was the number 1 overall pick to the Michigan
Okay.
Panthers. And that's terrible. Shea Patterson being the number 1 overall pick is dog water. I'm gonna say, I mean, there are like guys who have like played some in the NFL who got drafted behind Shea Patterson. And just real quick, for those who didn't watch that, their draft was really interesting because I think it was 3 days, but they did it by they had like 28 rounds or something like that. But for each of the rounds, each of the 8 teams had a pick, but each round was like a designated position. So round 1, you could only take a quarterback. Round 2, you could only take an offensive lineman. Round 3, you could only take whatever. And then if they didn't like somebody in that position, then they could just like not pick and then get a pick in a different round. But
In
like
all
you said, I
honesty,
think
I
we should
like
go
that.
through and show.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to note, I like that format of a draft, but that's strictly for a league that's just starting out. So like clearly it wouldn't work
Yeah.
out for the NFL, but I just like how they handled
Yeah.
everything, because it's like, everybody gets a clear shot at something, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna go through a little bit. We're gonna start with the Michigan Panthers. They have the gold, the maroon, and the baby blue, basically, for their colors and everything, and pretty solid uniforms.
I
I like
like
the
it.
Panther on the side. I like it.
I think they're my
So
favorite
yeah.
uniform wise.
I beg to differ. I think maybe I'll have to go through them again,
Okay.
but just a little bit about the Michigan Panthers. Head coach Jeff Fisher, for these Michigan Panthers, he had multiple stops in the NFL as a head coach. And like you said, they also have Shea Patterson and Paxton Lynch in their quarterback room. So just a little bit about them. Moving on is the Tampa Bay Bandits. And this is the team I'm kind of keeping a tab open for, because head coach Todd Haley is best known for being the offensive coordinator for the Steelers from 2012 to 2017. And I don't know if you know this or not, or if you remembered, but do you know who's on this team? His name's John Franklin III.
Yeah.
Yep, from Last Chance U. Yep, he's
Well,
on this team.
the
And he also had
reason
a couple pit stops too in the NFL, but
the reason that I think this would be my number 2 team, just because of the quarterback that they have back there. This is the guy I thought should have been by far and away the number 1 quarterback. They have Jordan Teamu. I don't know how many people know who he is, but Jordan Teamu, I think he was at Mississippi or Ole Miss. But he was at Ole Miss. I think it was either 3 or 4 years ago. He killed it at Ole Miss. I loved him at Ole Miss. And then I think he was like a practice squad player for the Bills or something.
okay.
And then he like lit it up in the XFL. He was one of the XFL's best quarterbacks. And then this is what this league is almost the next XFL as well. But I love Jordan Teamu, and that's why I think this will probably be my second team.
Yeah.
Jordan Teamu's love that
For
guy.
those that aren't looking, it's red, black, and like almost a silver grayish color. And that's kind of like a cowboy riding on a horse is their logo. I like the uniforms, but they kind of bring back the longest yard for me. So
Yeah.
I again keeping a tab open on them, but for the next few teams, there's nobody really huge that kind of stuck out to me. You might differ just because, I mean, you know a little bit more about the draft players or whatever than I do, but moving on is the New Orleans Breakers. And this is the team, in my opinion, that I think has the best uniforms.
Really?
I really like the blue. Okay, so for those not looking, New Orleans has almost, it looks like a wave and like a seagull almost for their logo. And it's all like a baby blue and then like a darker blue and then white. And it's just like, I like this, like the colors. This is cool. So yeah, I don't know. Can you tell us a little bit about New Orleans by chance?
The only thing I really know is their quarterback. His name is Kyle Slaughter, which is an awesome last name, but it's like Slot ER, so not Slaughter, but Slaughter.
Mhm.
I don't know much about him. He went to Northern Colorado, and it's weird because like for their positions, they were stuck picking at either 1 or 8 in each round. So either have like a really good position or not a really good one, and that's why they got like Kyle Slaughter because they picked 8 in the quarterback round. So they were kind of stuck with picking
Yee.
one of the lesser known guys there. So
Moving on is your Philly Stars.
at least
I'll
I
be
hate
honest
their
with you.
colors. It's trash.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, for those of you that live in the region, it reminds me of River Forest, and that's just nothing but bad memories for me. So just kind of ruling this one out altogether. Um, but
Yeah.
it is
Well,
your favorite team though.
real quick, their mascot too is very scary person. I think you should I think you should
The Philly Stars.
yeah, look up their mascot.
All right, looking it up right now. The Philly Fanatic. Oh Jesus.
He's
Dude, that is straight up nightmare material, man.
it's nightmare fuel, dude.
Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, nah. Okay,
They're
that's enough of that. Anyway,
yeah. Um uh
I'll skip that one. Yeah.
yeah, their quarterback, his name is Brian Scott. He played in the CFL for a little bit. He kind of was on the back end of the rosters. I know he was on the back end of the Rams roster for a little bit. And then there's a thing called the spring league football. That's like a semi-pro spring thing, and he was the best quarterback in the spring league. But I mean, who watches spring league football? But yeah.
All right. So if you're not looking, Philly's colors is so their primary color is red. And then they're also rocking white and gold. So almost like a McDonald's colored team. So very weird. But anyway, moving on to the Pittsburgh Maulers.
This is a new colors, but I actually kind of
I
like it.
like it. Yeah. It's so for those of you that aren't necessarily looking right now, the Pittsburgh Maulers are orange and purple and white, and it's just kind of out there and different. It almost kind of reminds me of the Broncos, but the Broncos are more of a navy blue.
Yeah.
But I guess just the style of the jersey or whatever just kind of reminds me of them. And then the Maulers, it kind of resembles like almost like a construction worker with a sledgehammer. It looks like a hard hat or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Pittsburgh, or should we just move on?
Yeah. Well, I paid attention mostly to their quarterback rounds. That's why.
Okay.
But this is one of the guys, Jordan Teamu, and in the quarterback that they have are like the two guys that I were like really shocked didn't go before Shea. But it made sense that Shea got picked to the Panthers. We'll get there. But his name is Kyle Lailetta, and I think he went to Richmond. He went to he went to Richmond, um, and he killed it at Richmond. And then I remember watching him in the Senior Bowl. I don't think he won Senior Bowl MVP, but he killed it in the Senior Bowl at Richmond. And then he was a backup quarterback for the Giants for a few years. He did fine, but he couldn't really stick somewhere. But again, he was one of the guys that like actually has pro experience that I was really, really shocked that didn't get taken before Shea.
Okay. Moving on is the Birmingham Stallions. This is a nice team, I think. Just the colors and jersey and everything. It's just like this is nice. If you're not looking, it's another one of those like, horse based, logo. They've got like almost a cream color helmet with a red stripe down the middle and white is their other color. Oh man, I like these uniforms. I don't know what it is, but they're standing out to me and I like it.
They're clean.
Yeah. Go for it. What do you got for the Birmingham Stallions?
Yeah. And then oh my goodness. I can't make an argument for this guy for their quarterback to have been taken over Shea Patterson, but I loved him. His name is Alec Magoo. What an awesome last name. I think he went to FIU, Florida International University.
Okay.
He was meh, but he played he was a backup quarterback for, I think it was the Jaguars, because I followed him because I really liked him. He was a backup quarterback for the Jaguars for a little bit, and then the Texans for a little bit, and now he's the starting quarterback here. But the main reason I knew him is because the Eagles played the Jaguars in the preseason game like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
And he freaking lit us up. That's why I like him. I like him. I think I like Alec Magoo.
I like the last name Magoo. It's cool.
Right? It's a phenomenal last name, Magoo.
Throwing it back to the last shut up. So okay, yeah. Taking it back, I should say, to the longest yard uniforms. Basically, we got the Houston Gamblers coming up next. Basically the same colors as Tampa Bay in that grayish red and black colors, but then they also have almost like a bluish color when it comes to the pants. I don't really know how else to explain that, so you guys will have to look that one up. But I kind of like this one too. I mean, it kind of throws me back to when I used to play for Rensselaer, and that's kind of what the uniforms reminded me of. So I don't know what you got for us as far as Houston.
So not the same Jim Kelly, a different Jim Kelly, but ironically the same team here. But he I think their quarterback is named Jim Kelly. Hold on. Nope.
Coming out of retirement, baby.
Coming out of retirement. No. But he was I think he might be the general manager for this team. And I think he was also offered a job in the front office of the Bills. And I think he said no and and decided to be the general manager for the Gamblers. So he literally snubbed the Bills and was like, nah, and is now the general manager. He's a front office person for them, and then their quarterback is Clayton Thorson. He played at Northwestern a couple years ago. Like I said, backup quarterback. He played for the Eagles. He was pretty trash, I'm gonna be honest.
All right. So moving on to the last team, the New Jersey Generals. Another red, black, and white team. They got the gold accent though for kind of like the stars that they have for their helmet, or the logo, I should say. But one thing that I'll say really quick before I let you kind of have your piece here with the rest of the I guess lineup. I mean, there's a lot of red, white, and black here, and it's just like, dude, I mean, there's no variety in colors, man. I mean, Tampa Bay's got the same ones. Philly's got a little bit of red and white. You have Birmingham with red, white, and gold, and then Houston with red, white, and gray and blue, kind of, and then New Jersey with red, white, and black. It's like, dude, and then all of a sudden there's Pittsburgh out of nowhere with orange and purple. So it's like, okay, what can you tell us about New Jersey really quick before I think I might have picked my team?
So their quarterback, his name is Ben Holmes. Holmes, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know much about him. He played at like Nassau Community College. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I think he played in the spring league as well. Yeah,
Cool.
I don't know much about this guy. I'm gonna be honest, but yeah, their quarterback is Ben Holmes. There you go.
All right. So what I will do on my screen is kind of do it, choose my team through process of elimination. We are going to cross out the Jersey Generals.
Don't blame you.
We're crossing out the Houston Gamblers. I like the Stallions. That's a pretty smooth, it's cool. I like the Birmingham Stallions, so I'm gonna keep them open real quick. Pittsburgh, I like it just because of the variety in uniform. So
are you just doing it by like uniforms?
Almost. There's a little bit. Oh my God, crossing out Philly for the love of God. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, I kind of want to go off of uniforms just because it's like I don't really know about too much. I think it's definitely, oh dude.
Be a bandit, be a bandit, be a bandit.
No,
be a bandit.
no, here's the thing. Okay. I will tell you this here. I'm gonna cross out Birmingham, even though I like the uniforms, but it's like whatever. Okay. I'm gonna cross out Pittsburgh Maulers. Just because, whatever. Pittsburgh, all the best. I like the uniforms, but no.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us within 3 teams. And the 3 teams, in my opinion, that have the cleanest uniforms is New Orleans with the blue, white, and baby blue. The Tampa Bay Bandits, which I just like John Franklin, and that's really what's holding me back. And then Michigan Panthers. I mean, what is there not to like? Honestly, dude, the uniforms, it's just, oh dear God, like, and the colors, I mean, you have more of a maroon colored red and the white and everything, so that's one thing. But dude, New Orleans with just this blue I mean, it's hard to eliminate one, but I'm crossing out Tampa Bay, but I'm still gonna root for John Franklin. We're gonna establish that right now. I'm rooting for John Franklin just strictly because of John Franklin and Last Chance U. I mean, that guy, I've been rooting for him ever since I watched the show and everything. It's just like, why wouldn't you?
Former Bear John Franklin.
Yeah. A little fun fact for you. You remember what position he played?
It was either wide receiver or cornerback.
It was cornerback. Yep.
Corner.
He played corner.
Yep.
He's a very universal player, and that's what I like about him too. He strives for any kind of playing time, and I can relate to that to a certain extent. Now, it comes down to oh my God. Dude, it's Michigan and New Orleans. And if you guys don't remember, Michigan was the gold, maroon, and baby blue and white team that we covered first off. And it's just yeah, no, I'm sorry, New Orleans. I'm going to join the Michigan Panthers bandwagon. The quarterback room is just too good to, kind of knock off, you know what I mean? I think, as far as big names and stuff like that goes. And then, you have Jim Fisher as your head coach, which is probably one of the most qualified at the position, in my opinion. At least for the USFL. So give me the Michigan Panthers as my team. That's who I'm going for. Clean uniforms. What is there not to like about that?
Shea Patterson. And he was a Michigan boy, so I want to be called the Homer or nothing.
Yeah,
That's the only reason that he got. That's the only reason he was the first quarterback taken off the board is because he went to school at Michigan and they were a
Yeah.
Michigan team. Shea Patterson. Oh, I don't. I don't like him.
Yeah, no, I don't. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I mean, Michigan. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. I guess that it's more of like a homey team. You know what I mean? Like, it's closer to
It was
home.
close.
So it's like, okay, that makes sense. But it is my first Michigan team I've ever rooted for, which is very weird. I mean, Detroit, no, and then just Michigan as a whole, no, but like whatever.
Hey,
Well,
what about Michigan?
No, I'm an Ohio State boy. You know what I mean when it comes to college football. So,
No, I don't.
Michigan Panthers. Let's go. Anyway,
Mhm.
lastly, that's gonna segue us into our next segment. Deebo Samuel is asking for around $25 million per year in an extension. If you guys listen to, I think one of the previous podcasts.
Hold on. I don't want to cut you off because this topic right here transitions really well into our next subject. So I don't want to let you get too far into it.
Mhm.
And believe me, guys, stay tuned for next week's episode where I'm going to talk about it a little more. But for some reason, Trayvon Walker is like number one on like half the team's boards.
Oh, yes, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Due to time restraints, I'm not gonna talk about it on this episode. Next episode, I'll draft. It's pretty much what it's gonna be. So watch out for that. But it aggravates me that he is number one. Ooh, Lord knows. Lord knows. And a lot of people like him, but I just have too many gripes with him. I would say I'm significantly lower on him than the consensus. But just it's a little tease for next episode. Stay tuned if you guys want to hear me pop off about Trayvon Walker for about 10 minutes. But I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, no, you're all good. But so yeah, basically he wants $25 million. Deebo does in an extension. And honestly, I mean, he deserves that.
As
But
he should. Yep.
yeah. If anybody watches baseball or knows baseball terms, Deebo Samuel is, I mean, the definition of a utility player when it comes to football. So since then, head coach Kyle Shanahan will listen to anyone that wants to talk trade. According to a league source, they're willing to trade anyone for the right price. Other than Deebo, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, and DK Metcalf all seem likely to have some calls fielded about them before the draft. And league sources say that they wouldn't be surprised if at least one of them are moved by or during the draft. So basically what we're doing for this week is we're doing trade scenarios for McLaurin, Brown, and Samuel. And if you guys want any kind of scenarios about, DK Metcalf, go ahead and listen to last week's episode because I got the hookup for you guys. So no worries. But this is what's going to move us into our next segment. I crafted a little bit of trade scenarios just to kind of tell Ben what my what the value of each receiver is in my book. So yeah, Ben hasn't heard any of these yet. So he's going to probably critique me and argue with me.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. But yeah.
To clarify too, by the way, guys, I'm just going to be honest. We like to be honest to our listeners. We were definitely supposed to both make our own trade scenarios. Life right now for me is busy. So I just didn't get around to it. So
yeah, trust me, dude. I totally get it. Yeah.
Well, Ryan pulls through with it. He's great. But let's get to it.
We're very flexible with each other, and that's what I really appreciate about this podcast. But going into it, we're gonna start off with Terry McLaurin. before I get into any receiver, I do want to note that I don't trade these players specifically to any team. Here, I mean, just, it's more so some teams that, just need wide receiver. But what I'm saying is I only have 3 scenarios for each player, and not all of them are, say, going to have a trade to the Bears or a trade to, say, the Eagles or the Saints or something like that, right? Just wanted to let you guys know. So not all the Bears fans is going to get McLaurin, Brown, or Samuel. It's just going to, break it down like that. So starting things off, Terry McLaurin to the Packers. I have the Packers trading a first-round pick number 28, and third-round pick number 92 for McLaurin. Is that an overshot?
I
can explain too.
I think so. Well, hear me out here. I think me and you have both consensusly been higher on wide receivers and have been willing to give up more for a wide receiver than what the NFL would. Like I would give a pick 15 without a question of a doubt for DK. I don't think the Eagles would. Like, so me and Ryan have consistently been, I would give up, what was the pick you said?
28.
I would give up 28 for him. I just don't know what his value around the league is, because if Adams and Tyreek Hill went for first round picks, I don't know if a team would be willing to give a first round pick for McLaurin. Would I? Absolutely. Do I think his value's there? Absolutely, because he hasn't played with a good quarterback and still has produced, Pro Bowl numbers. But I wonder what the rest of the league thinks his value is.
That's the thing. Strictly for
gauge.
this, it's not only that, it's the fact that it's a late first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers have 2 first round picks. In this situation, they would still walk away with 1. And, they're giving out a later round pick anyway. So they could secure other needs in the first and second rounds and still be able to, get a pretty solid receiver to, pair with Aaron Rodgers after the departure of Devontae Adams. Speaking of teams that need wide receivers, though. Just kidding.
Real quick. Wouldn't it be really, really funny if they used the first round pick that they received for Devontae Adams to trade for another wide receiver?
Oh yeah, no, that'd be dumb. I don't know, but anyway, I have McLaurin potentially going to the Chiefs.
I like that.
The Chiefs would trade a first round pick number 29, a third round pick number 94, and a future 6th for McLaurin. So this is basically, just identical to the Packers, except it's slightly less of, value wise when it comes to picks. So I threw in a future 6th just as kind of like a sweetener. Obviously they'd still walk away with just about as much, but I think that this is a pretty solid one as well.
Yeah, if I had to pick fit wise, if I had to make a trade and I had to pick fit and everything else, I would probably put him on the Chiefs. He fills a need. He fills a fast, speedy wide receiver, and he just fits really well in the offense. I'm all for it.
Okay, so this next trade, this team holds 9 picks in the top 38. So Washington kind of pushes a team that struck out on every opportunity that they've had this offseason. And the Jets are going to trade a first round pick number 10 for McLaurin and a 5th round pick. That's a lot, but it's going to come at that steep price because New York knows what they're getting in McLaurin and they're just not willing to be outbid in the situation.
If I'm New York at that point, I'm drafting Jameson. That's just me, but that is such high value, and realistically, like, it's hard for me to see them do that because there was a rumor that came out that the Jets offered the 10th pick for DK. And then it was that rumor didn't actually exist, but it didn't. So we don't actually know the validity behind that and whether that actually happened or not. But there's no way I would be surprised if they give up the 10th pick for DK.
Mhm.
I don't think they'd give up. I like the team fit and the idea behind it, but I think 10. I think realistically, if that were to happen, they'd probably trade back and then give
Kind of like the leftovers.
trade back in the first round. So move from like 10 to, I don't know. Suppose Cal Hamilton is at 10. And the Eagles want to jump the Commanders for him. They trade the 15th and a third for him, and then they trade that 15th pick for him or something. I still think that's a little steep, but if the Jets were to trade a first round pick for him, I would be surprised if it was for 10. They'd probably trade back and then trade that
Okay.
one pick for him. But
See, okay, so this next trade isn't for McLaurin. We're moving on to AJ Brown, but we are staying in New York. We are staying with the Jets. And we are staying with that first round pick, the pick number 10 for AJ Brown and a fourth. So it's no longer a fifth, it's a fourth. And the reason I'm saying that is because of AJ Brown's health issues. But at the same time, at pick number 10, Tennessee is going to get a solid option at wide receiver. And just to kind of replace that. So that's why I gave up so much. And Jets, same reason. I mean, they've swung and missed on everything, so
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's the same that I said. I think 10 for a wide receiver that you're gonna have to pay that much money is just so extraordinarily much that at that point I'm spending my 10th overall pick on Jameson or on Garrett Wilson.
Okay. Okay, so as far as AJ Brown goes, I think that this is a target for the Bears. Just because he's kind of a bigger, wide receiver, and he has proven that he can be a wide receiver one. I think if you pair him up with Darnell Mooney, that would be pretty good. That's why I put him here. So in this scenario, the Bears would trade a 2022 second round pick number 49, a future second round pick, and then a future fourth round pick for AJ Brown.
Yeah, that value I think is spot on. I think that
you're gonna hate me next pick or next trade, but
I think that's spot on.
In this scenario, the Bears still keep their top pick in the draft.
Yeah.
They skip out on a second round next year, but
your head is
fourth
is where I was at though. That's my only concern about the Bears making a trade up or a trade for a player is what you guys have like 5 picks or something.
Right.
It just you guys have such limited cap or draft capital that I don't know. We'll see. Just you guys don't have a lot of it, so we'll see what you guys end up doing with it. We'll see how good Ryan Pace is. Or
polls, dear God.
Yeah.
Anyway, my thing is, and I'll move on after this. If you're gonna see the Bears trade for any player, if they're not trading back, it's gonna include future picks. It's just explanatory. They want as much draft capital as possible. If they can pull any picks out of this deal, they're going to. But this is such a clear, obvious upgrade that, I mean, for AJ Brown, it's like, holy cow. Yeah, for sure. If he can stay healthy too, that's, even better.
And you have the cap.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. So, that's another thing. But now for your Eagles to take a swing, you're going to hate me. Eagles are only giving up their 18th pick, their 18th overall for AJ Brown and a 7th. Would you give up that 18th overall pick for AJ Brown and a 7th round pick?
I think I would only It depends on who's on the board. It depends. It really depends on who's on the board. Um, I would obviously talk myself into it. And if any Eagles fans are listening, they're like, "You stupid idiot." But again, if I can get Jameson at 15, I'm gonna.
No way. It's not
I
happening.
like him. I know.
That's the thing.
Teams are lower on him, which is weird. Again, like, and that's the thing when it comes to draft.
Wait, hold on a second. They're saying that he could be the first wide receiver taken in Atlanta is close to
at
that.
Atlanta, and this is what I'm saying. We don't know. Like, I've seen that, and I've seen him fall to pick 25.
Yeah.
We have no clue, and it's because of his injury. And and realistically, I think he probably goes in. I think he probably goes at 11, which sucks.
So in this situation, then we're just gonna roll with the fact that he's gone. Are you taking this when you're on the clock?
Well, again, it depends on, is Drake London there? Is
I think he could
Garrett
be.
Wilson there? If
I
Drake
don't think
London's
he will
there,
be.
no, I don't think so. If Drake London's there, see, this is shoot.
This
is
is your
hard.
boy. Yeah.
It's so much. He has to have so much money.
Somebody
No,
clip
I'm
this too
putting my
when he
foot
makes
down.
his decision.
Yeah, because watch him make the trade, right?
No. I'm saying if one player doesn't pan out as good as the other player, you're gonna look really stupid, and I'm gonna cherish
Well,
that.
of course. No, I think realistically, AJ Brown is probably better than Jameson or Garrett or Drake London, but one commands a lot more money.
Yeah. As of right now.
Well, that's my thing. Like, if my draft pick turns out to be that good, then I'm gonna have to pay the $25 million anyways that I would have paid for him. So
can I make a quick comment really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Out of the three players that we're going to talk about, McLaurin, Brown, and Debo, I mean, I think AJ Brown is like the closest to staying on his team than the other two.
I would push back on that. I think it'd be McLaurin just because they traded for Carson.
I think if they get the right deal that he's gone, but
Yeah, but I think we'll see how the NFL values him. I'm gonna put my foot down. The only player that I would trade 18 for is DK. Do I think Debo is on the level of and worth 18? Yes. But I haven't seen enough from the Eagles coaching staff to tell me that they could use Debo in the right way, because Debo is, again, so much more than a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver.
Buddy. Let me stop you right there, because you're segueing perfectly into this next trade. So for Debo, I find Debo a much, much more valuable wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And so I have him going to the Eagles for 2 first-round picks. Pick number 15, the 2023 first-round pick from New Orleans, a 5th and a 7th.
Nope. Not
his value is through the roof.
His value is not even that. Nope. Don't care. Not even. That's what Devontae and Tyreek Hill went for.
He's good though, man.
I understand he's good and he's young, but Tyreek Hill went for 3 first-round picks. And we're not trading. And again, we are not trading next year's first. We have 2 firsts in next year's draft for a quarterback. I would I trade 18 for Debo? I think Debo's worth 18. Again, as an Eagles fan, I wouldn't do it, because we haven't seen enough from the coaching staff. I'm not going to say the coaching staff couldn't, but we haven't seen enough to this point for me to be convinced that, like, yeah, these guys can use Debo in the proper way. So I'm going to say no to Debo, to using a first round on Debo. Again, the only person I would trade a first round pick for Debo, or the only person I'd trade the 18th pick for, would be for DK.
Okay. So for the Jets, I still feel like any trade that they're involved in is going to be highway robbery. And so for Debo, they're going to trade a 1st round pick, which is pick 10, a 2022 2nd round pick, 35, 2 future seconds, and a 6th-round pick for Debo. I think it's reasonable I think if any team's talking to New York, they're like, yeah, cool, give me a bunch of picks because you got plenty, And in this situation, they have 9 picks in the first 38 and they're only giving up 2. So, they still have 7 within the first 38. They still have plenty of room to improve and stuff like that, but they're still giving up 2 future seconds and a 6th afterwards.
We'll see, because rumor had it they were in on the Tyreek Hill deal, but Tyreek Hill shut it down. Tyreek Hill's like, nah, I'm not gonna
Dude,
go
it's
and
the
play
Jets,
for the Jets. So, and if I'm Debo, realistically, I'm gonna say screw you. I'm not gonna play for you either. Like,
right.
Again, I think
It'd have to be like a post-draft trade type deal if Debo's going to New York, just because I personally, if I'm the athlete, I'm wanting to see how their draft goes before I make any decisions about my future going there.
I don't care how the draft goes. I've hit and missed on so many different players. Like, was it last 2 years ago? It would have been 2 years ago. The Jets drafted a safety in the 2nd round out of Cal. His name is I think it's Ashton Davis. I loved Ashton Davis, and it would have been like, at the time people graded it well. I graded it well, and Ashton Davis. Do you even know who Ashton Davis is?
No.
Like, exactly. And again, I don't want people to think I'm poo-pooing on you. I just think you value him more than what NFL teams are willing to give up. And the rumor came out that the Jets did not offer 10 for DK. They're like, that didn't actually happen. And again, I think out of the 4 players, I could be, again, it's all about personal preference. I don't know. I think DK is better. DK and Debo are on the same. Okay, Debo is better than DK. I don't know. Well, I still think you value him a little bit more than what the NFL would, but we'll see how that goes. But for a team desperate for a wide receiver, they have to give up a lot, so it would make sense.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see.
The last trade for Debo is the Chiefs, which is nightmare scenario. That's awful. In this situation, the Chiefs would be giving up a lot. 2 first-round picks, which would be 29th and 30th. A second, which is 62nd overall, and then a 4th, 135th for Debo. He could be an untouchable wide receiver right now, just because, I think I'm telling you, man, I think his value's through the roof, but,
I should have mentioned this when we talked about it for McLaurin. For anybody that doesn't really know the switch situation when it comes to the 3 that we're talking about today and the one we talked about last week in DK, AJ, McLaurin, and Debo, they're all like rumored to be on the trade market because their teams don't want to pay them whatever they want. And the whole reason that Tyreek Hill got traded was because that the Chiefs weren't going to pay him $30 million. So the Chiefs would be stupid to not pay Hill $30 million and to pay Debo 25. I'm just, I don't know. And we disagree what our value on Tyreek Hill is. Again, I think he's top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. It just, again, they've shown that they didn't want to pay that high price for wide receiver. So I don't know if they would trade the high price plus pay the high price. I know. We'll see though, but like you said, like they do. They're desperate for another wide receiver. They need to get another it guy in the building because right now they have a washed Juju and Travis Kelce. So I could see
MVS, baby. I'm just kidding. All right, so we're gonna have a slight discussion here. this one is highly debated upon, I mean, just across the league. Um, should referees be fined for bad calls? And you're shaking your head no. Here's the thing. I will say maybe. I think it all just depends on game scenario, because we've had so many games as of like, I mean, just over the past few years where referees come out and apologize because they make the wrong call and stuff like that. It's like, dude, you're supposed to be the best of the best. This isn't, I mean, this isn't high school, this isn't college. You are officiating a NFL game. When it comes down to it, I think without a doubt, the referee that backed into that Bears player during the Steelers game last year should have, without a doubt, had some kind of, punishment, just because it's like, dude, what are you doing? You're clearly backing into him. The player had no intent of running into you, and you still threw the flag. Ultimately, in a situation like that, I believe so. But when it comes down to it, though, when it comes to certain calls, like let's take the Cleveland and Kansas City call from a couple of years ago. You remember that with the helmet to helmet thing and how he fumbled out of the end zone and Kansas City ended up with the ball?
No, I'm gonna be honest, I don't. But one that we can use, that I think both of us would know, was the Saints and Rams one, where it
that
was
was
the
a clear pass
PI.
interference. And what I'm saying is,
and they didn't. Okay.
what I'm saying, well, okay, let's take okay, for those that are listening that remember the Cleveland play, one of the Browns wide receivers was diving for the pylon for the end zone and would have had the lead in the Kansas City versus Cleveland divisional round game. And it ended in a helmet to helmet, and the ball ended up getting fumbled out of bounds in the end zone, which by rule means that Kansas City gets the ball. The controversy behind that is because, it was clear it was helmet to helmet, but the question was, did that force the player to drop the ball? Now, in situations like that, I don't feel like, even though it was kind of like it could have been a game defining call, it's such a close one that it's like, dude, you can't, I mean, I understand it's the playoffs, but when you're in the heat of the moment and everything, you cannot make that call in the certain amount of time that you're given. Now, when it comes down to it, like you just said, the pass interference call, that is one that I feel like is punishable. Or like the Steelers one, like, that is one that I feel like is punishable. So in conclusion, for my argument or whatever, and obviously I'll probably make counter arguments to yours, but it just depends on the game situation and what exactly happened to the, on the field during that play, and, the involvement that the referee had in it as well.
And I like where your head is at. I'm gonna have to go with no. I think the NFL needs to have a better like review system on that. Like even if a team doesn't have like challenge flags or something, like they should be able to kind of fight that. But like, I mean these stuff happens so quick and so fast that it is so hard for somebody to make a judgment like based off of what they see. And as watchers, we get the luxury of being able to see stuff slowing down in slow-mo and seeing the call,
Other angles as well.
and that's what I'm saying. This stuff is so ticky-tacky. So to find a ref based off of like what he saw in the moment for a split second on a call, I think just isn't a good idea, because again, we get to watch it, we get to rewind it, we get to watch it in slow motion, we get all these different luxuries to see this where they don't. And for that reason, I think there needs to be a better, and I right now I can't offer up a solution,
Right.
but there needs to be a better way of being able to get those plays back, or to be able to call them after they happen. But for them to call it as it's happening, it is so hard. But like a sky cam or something, a sky ref, to be able to be like, all right, you like that was really, really bad. You missed that. But the flip side to that, as an offensive lineman, I'll tell you, there are fouls that happen every single play that just don't get called.
You're not going to call all of them, because the thing is like you'll have fans just being like, oh, let them play, blah, blah, blah. And then you're also going to have like, oh, but you called that one, but you didn't call this one. It's like, all right,
Yeah. So I'm going to go with no, because again, as viewers, we get the luxury of seeing stuff a certain way, and for stuff to happen in such a split second, it's so hard to see what like the refs are thinking and seeing where the refs were standing and what they saw, and there's just too much that goes into it.
I can understand that.
I'm gonna go
to a certain,
but
yeah. Let me play devil's advocate really quick, and then we get to move on to our most exciting segment. So you said like there's not really a way to access these other angles and stuff like that for cameras and whatever. A listener could potentially say, okay, well, when it's challenged, and I'm not saying specifically from my point of view, because I already know the counter argument, but I want to see if you can get it. Just to kind of clarify, people are saying, what's the use of, say, like one of those Microsoft Surface tablets where they get to see the different angles and whatever on a reviewable call? What's your take on that?
Well, what do you mean?
So, okay, let's take the Pittsburgh call for, just an example. That one was reviewed, and I don't remember if it was necessarily challenged. Okay. If it was, then we'll just kind of throw that one out. Or just take your normal everyday pass interference call that gets,
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh and Chicago one where the ref backed into him. What I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't remember if that one's challenged, so I guess I'll just throw that one out. But let's just take like a normal everyday pass interference. Yeah, let's take like a normal everyday pass interference call, right? Whether that one was up in the air or not. I mean, the referee saw it and stuff like that. But it is going to get reviewed in certain circumstances. To people that ask like, what's the point of the Surface tablets or whatever, if they don't get the angles, like what's your counter argument to that?
Well, my thing is, people forget, like, it's most of the time when it's them reviewing a call, it's not the guys that are on the field that are making the call. It's guys. I'm forgetting where it goes to.
I think it goes
somewhere it goes to New York or something, and they're making the call. It's the refs. I mean, they can put in the guys that are on the field can put in their input and like tell them what they think, but they're not. I don't think they're the guys making the final call. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're the guys making the final call on that. So for fans to blame these guys, be like, "Well, what are they doing? Did they not see the?" That's not on them. They're not making that call.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. No. I mean, I like I said, I agree to a certain extent. It just depends. I honestly. I mean, like I said, it just depends on the severity and the involvement of the referee in that certain situation. But I'm too excited. I'm too eager to get to this point. This is our next segment. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been hiding this from you for, I want to say, about a month now. I mean, this is, well, hold on a minute. Let me see when I got the news or whatever that I could do this. But Ben, I announce a lot of things on this podcast, and I know how much the draft means to you. So if you would do me a favor and take the honors and announce to everybody what is going on, and then I will go more in depth about what we learned almost a month ago. If it was a week later, then it would be a month ago. But
Well, all right. Do you want me to do draft night, or do you want me to do next weekend draft night?
All of it, buddy. All of it.
All right. Well, we are going to cover the draft live for you guys, making our putting in our thoughts and telling you guys what we think. We'll cover the whole thing from start to finish, live on draft night when the draft starts, 8:00 Eastern time. for anybody listening. But me and Ryan are also going to be doing a trial run for that next Thursday, because Thursdays again are the days that we record. So we're gonna do a trial run for that on Thursday. We're doing live. Again, just hope to see you guys all there. And if you guys can't make it to the live, they'll end up being posted and put on all the different podcasting platforms that you guys listen to it on. But yeah, we hope to see you guys there.
Yeah. So this is courtesy of StreamYard. This is used by, if you follow me on Twitter, there's a podcast that I listen to and appear on occasionally, which is called the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. And the way that I guess, quote unquote, appear on that podcast is through comments. And basically, the cool thing about this is that you can see all the comments and everything that are, piled in from people that are viewing, from literally any streaming service that you can find, or that I made available. Now, Ben, what I did, that, I guess you didn't really notice yet, was I made a Facebook page for the Pigskin Project. This is for my family and friends and stuff, and anybody else that could be listening on this that could be on Facebook, but we will be streaming it, our draft day stuff. It's all the same exact stream, and it will all be featured on Twitter. It will be featured on YouTube, and it will be featured on Facebook. And I'm pretty sure that's it right now. I might be able to do some more work and get some more platforms, whatever. So basically, the really cool thing about it is, for the first time ever during a live recording and a live broadcast, we are able to interact with you guys on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you guys decide to listen. Punch in a comment. We can answer any questions that we have, gotten or whatever. And, we'll be able to do that in between, draft picks or whatever on draft day, as well as the week before, which is just next week. So when you guys listen to this, you guys will know, hey, we will be streaming on, Thursday, I would say around 8:30 p.m. Central Time, for, when we will be streaming, for next week's episode. But, as far as that goes, we've been so excited for this news. And oh my God, it's so exciting to know that this is something that we can bring to you guys. And it's almost like a thank you, for all the support and everything that we've gotten so far. So shout out to everybody. And I think that this is the beginning of something really, really good that we've got going for us. So there's that. Any final comments or whatever before we move on?
No, again, it'll be really fun to see you guys. Again, we would love to see you guys there, interact with you guys. And like I said, from probably, I would say, the 3.5 hours the draft is, me and Ryan are going to try to, at least for day one, we're going to try to try to cover that for you guys. And again, hope to see you guys there, and hopefully we get to talk to some of you guys.
Right. Yeah. So without further ado, ESPN put out a article regarding the 32 biggest questions, including positions to target, potential trades, and teams to watch for, the 2022 NFL draft. And I figured maybe we should cover this, just because we're excited about the draft, to just talk to you guys and everything for the first time. So, without further ado, we're going to start in the AFC East. It will probably briefly cover all of, what they're talking about. But, I'm not going to read like the big paragraphs or whatever. I'm just going to ask the question. And Ben, you're going to kind of briefly answer it. And if I have any kind of input on it, I'll give it to you. All right.
All right.
So without further ado, the Buffalo Bills, the question that is asked will be, will the Bills entertain the possibility of taking a running back in the first round because of their need in the backfield?
No, they'll do it in the second, is my guess. There's not. The NFL does evaluate.
Okay.
They'll get this draft class is really good depth when it comes to running backs. No, they'll do it in the second round, I think.
Okay. The Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins don't pick until one of the last selections of the third round, number 102 overall. What positions could they target there?
Offensive line, linebacker, and D tackle.
Wow. Okay. This man is on a roll already. New England Patriots. Now that the team has acquired Devontae Parker, could wide receivers still be in play, or will another position be targeted at number 21 overall?
I would guess it would be another position. I would guess probably cornerback.
Okay.
No, I'm telling you, it will be quarterback.
All right. Finally, the New York Jets. After an aggressive attempt to trade for Tyreek Hill, do you foresee a wide receiver being selected at number 10 overall? Or potentially traded, like we talked about previously tonight.
Absolutely. The only reason I'm not going to say 100% yes is because they pick at number 4 as well. But yeah.
All right. The AFC North. Which position? Oh, wait. Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens. The question is, which position will the Ravens fill at number 14 overall, knowing they still need help in the trenches and at corner? The reason why I'm asking you this too is because it varies in each mock draft. So if you guys would like, please go and listen to those mock drafts.
It really just depends on the cornerback on the board. If one of the top 2 CBs are there, then they're going CB. If not, they're probably going to go Devontae Wyatt.
Okay. Since the Bengals upgraded their offensive line in free agency, what other position could they target at number 31 overall?
Offensive line.
Seriously? Okay.
Oh, they would be stupid not to. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
or
for the Browns,
or cornerback.
with
Eli
Deshaun
Apple,
Watson
maybe.
now at quarterback for the Browns, is drafting a receiver early a possibility, or will general manager Andrew Berry look to add elsewhere?
I love Andrew Berry. It has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. It's everything to do with Amari Cooper. I think they'll probably look elsewhere.
You ready for my bold take here?
Okay.
They're going to trade back in the draft.
Yeah.
I guess
when is their second? When is their second round pick? Do they have their second round pick this year?
I think so.
I know they don't have their first.
Well, hold on a minute. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, they have pick 44 in the second round.
Yeah. I would guess defensive line.
Okay. For the Steelers, could the Steelers trade up for a quarterback, or will they look to address another position in the first round?
I don't think they'll trade up, but I think they'll go quarterback.
Yeah, somebody's going to fall to them.
Yeah.
For the Texans, with the number 3 overall pick, are the Texans in best player available mode, or will it be a pick to fill a need?
Well, given the fact they need a player at pretty much every position, they'd be dumb to not pick the best player available.
So for the Colts, without a first round pick, how do the Colts solve their need at left tackle?
They draft somebody in the second.
Bold. This guy's swinging. All right. For Jacksonville, Aiden Hutchinson is a favorite for the number 1 overall pick, but what should Jacksonville look for at pick number 33? Probably a line, right?
It's so hard because it really just depends on who's there. Because I mean, if there's not a tackle there that they don't like, I could see them going defensive line. I could see them taking a swing at edge if a David Ajabo or Boye Mafe or something crazy and George Karlaftis falls. I would say O-line, but I kind of like Walker Little, the guy who they drafted last year. So I'm going to go with defensive line.
Okay. For the Titans, wide receiver has been a hot mock draft pick for the Titans, but is offensive line more of a first round target?
I think it should be.
Yeah.
I'm going to go bold, and me and you have been making this mock in our draft before. I think it should be linebacker. But yeah, offensive line should be more important than wide receiver.
What does an ideal early draft look like for the Broncos, who don't have many on paper needs?
Where are they picking?
Let's see.
Do they have a first round? I know they're picking like last pick and I know they're picking like last pick and
in the second round.
the second, but yeah.
Yeah. Give me just a second. Yeah, so they have 64. Yeah, that's their first pick. Is the 64 in round 2. Then they have 2/3, 2/4, a 5th, a 6th, and then a 7th.
As for we'll go with their first 2 picks. We'll go with the last pick in the second round and a 3rd round pick. It really just depends on in no particular order. Yeah, and I know I keep saying that, but in no particular order, I think I'd probably do a linebacker and a tight end.
So, I mean, we kind of already discussed this next one. Will general manager Brett Veach and coach Andy Reid use picks numbers 29 and 30, or is a trade possible? I think a trade's absolutely possible. I think it'd be stupid not to.
I think it's possible, but I don't think I don't think it'll will. I don't think they will. Because picking where they're at, they could take a big, swing on players. I kind of wanted to save this until next episode, but I think George Pickens is going way higher than what everybody else thinks. In them picking at 29 or 30 completely allows them to do that because his concern is his injury, and they like their GM can make picks like this because he's not worried about losing his job. Yeah. Like he doesn't have to worry like, oh, if this guy doesn't pan out, then like what's gonna happen. He has the luxury to make high upside picks at 30 or at 29 and 30 that other GMs don't have the luxury to do. So I think they should stay and get 2 high upside picks.
Should the Raiders go all in on the defensive side of the ball in this draft?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I was going to say what?
No.
Okay, explain.
Well, their defensive line doesn't need it. I mean, again, they have Chandler Jones and Max Crosby.
Right.
So right off the bat, you don't have to worry about that. But realistically, I think they need to worry about wide receiver 2 because I guess they have Hunter Renfrow, so they don't. I need to worry about center because they don't have Rodney Hood and guard. But outside of center and guard, I guess you can say go all in a defense.
Okay. It feels like the offensive tackle. Oh, wait, no. It feels like it is offensive tackle or bust for the Chargers in round 1. But what other positions are in need for LA?
Defensive tackle.
Just plain and simple. Okay.
Plain and simple.
Do you think Jordan Davis will still be there at 17?
One of Jordan Davis or Devontae Wyatt, I think, will be there.
Okay.
And then I don't think this is a hot take. I think this is kind of catching on the draft committee. I think they could. Again, this is what Dallas did like 2 years ago. I think you could see them draft like a quicker, like if Chris Olave is there or something, a quicker, twitchier wide receiver. I think we could see maybe go there as well.
So moving on to the NFC and starting in your division, the NFC East, which positions could the Cowboys target early to replenish the talent lost on the roster?
The lines on both sides of the ball.
Okay.
I think they would be really, really stupid to not go interior offensive line, whether that's Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, or Tyler Linderbaum with their first pick, and then with their next pick, go with an edge rusher that they lost in Randy Gregory.
Okay, sorry. Holy cow. It's getting late, ladies and gents. Anyway, for the New York Giants, with 3 picks in the top 36, what could general manager Joe Schoen identify to build this roster the way that he wants to construct it? God, this is a dream scenario for a GM. I mean, starting off.
I have an old school thought behind this. I think football start and ends in the trenches, and before anything else, you need to get the trenches right. So I think offensive line again, and then maybe defensive line. I think we could probably see Sauce get picked with one of the early picks, but if we're talking about just draft philosophy, trenches on either side of the ball.
All right, buddy. With 2 first-round picks, will the Eagles entertain the idea of selecting a receiver for the 3rd consecutive year?
Absolutely, they should.
But will they?
Yeah, they will. I'm not saying they will. They will entertain the idea. I'm not saying they will make the pick, but they'll entertain the idea. We had this conversation off air, ironically. I hate that people are like they shouldn't because they've already done it before. Well, who cares? It hasn't worked before. Is it a need? Yes. Then you take it in the first round. Right. But just because they've done it doesn't mean it worked. But yeah, they should.
So where are the Commanders' biggest holes, and what could they look for in round 1?
I think I've pretty much unanimously been saying this since the Carson Wentz trade. I think it should be a wide receiver at pick 11.
Okay. All right. Treat me nice, man. Could the Bears double dip at wideout in the 2nd round to give Justin Fields more options? And just because I'm curious, I had another question after you're done. So,
no, because I don't think there are going to be 2 wide receivers there that they like.
Okay. Who is going to be that guy in your opinion? Because in every mock draft I have picked for the Bears, who is that guy? Because, I mean, and another point too, I mean, there's one receiver that sticks out to me that just shines for another team. I mean, we've talked about this since we went to the combine, and it's Jahan Dotson to the Packers. It's just the stars have aligned since day one for me. He's a Packer through and through. Is there a guy for a wide receiver for the Bears that shines like that? And if not, who is it?
I've completely fallen off of that, by the way. There's no way Jahan Dotson goes in the first. Jahan Dotson goes in the first. Again, like I've said before, it's malpractice. I think at this point, I think there are too many wide receivers that are ranked ahead of him. And honestly, and kind of recently, I've been really on the George Pickens hype train.
Okay.
I like George Pickens if he's there. But again, I think GMs and front offices probably like George Pickens even more than we do. And I think he'll probably go in the first.
Okay.
I don't want to. Probably Christian Watson or Sky Moore would be my guess.
Okay, I'll take either one. Honestly, I liked both of them watching them in person. Jared Goff is under contract for 2 more years, but will Brad Holmes entertain the idea of selecting a quarterback with either the number 2 or 32 overall picks?
No.
Thank you.
He will. I think he will. With what do they pick at 36?
They pick at 32 and number 2.
32. I thought they had is it 32?
Yep, they got number 32 in the Jared Goff trade.
Yeah, but I think they pick really high. I think it's like 34, 35 in the
round. They pick just like literally like 3 draft picks after that, I think.
Yeah. I don't think they will in the first round, but I think somebody will fall to him and I think it's 35.
Yeah. Okay.
I think somebody falls to him at 35, and I think they'll take him there.
I think now that we say something, I think it's the Jaguars and then like the Jets and then Detroit, or maybe it's Jaguars, Detroit, and then Jets or something like that.
Yeah, they're like 35 or 34 or something like that.
Yeah. All right. For the Packers, with 2 selections on day 1, will general manager Brian Gutekunst abandon the organization's philosophy of not drafting wide receivers in the first round in order to replace Devontae Adams?
Yes, he will, and he would be stupid to not.
So you're saying he'll totally abandon drafting a wide receiver in the first?
No, I'm saying they have not drafted a wide receiver in the first round for a really long time. He's saying the take is saying they should abandon their draft philosophy of not doing that and should take a wide receiver.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I read that wrong.
Yeah, they should take a wide receiver in the first.
Okay. Corner is an obvious need for the Vikings, but what are other positions general manager, I'm not even going to attempt to say his name right now, it's too late, could try to take in the first round? No disrespect to the Vikings GM, by the way. I'm sure what he's doing and what his game plan is for the Vikings is pretty solid. I just wanted to say it's a very, very tough name to try and pronounce right now. So like I said, absolutely no disrespect to him right now.
Yeah. I think they should. I think just stick with the defense. I think if Hamilton falls that far, you take him. If there's a really good end, they should take him. Jordan Davis or Devontae Wyatt. That high is a spicy take, but I could see it happening.
Yeah.
So,
all right, you ready? Let's do, okay, so we have 2 divisions left. I want to see what would happen if you were to speed run the next 16. All right. So for the Falcons, if the Falcons don't draft a quarterback in round 1, where will they go?
Wide receiver.
Are the Panthers desperate enough at quarterback to draft one at number 6 overall?
Yes.
After trading to add another first-round pick, what 2 positions are ideal for the Saints to land in round 1? Take as much time as you need for this one because of Matt.
Wide receiver and offensive tackle.
Okay, that's the same exact thing that ESPN said. The Bucs drafted for future needs in early rounds last year. Will we see a similar strategy with Tom Brady coming back?
Yep.
It seems like offensive line is a guaranteed first-round pick, but is there any other direction that the Cardinals could go?
Jordan Davis.
That's fair. Okay. The Rams don't have a selection until late in round 3. What's the one position they have to hit on in this draft?
Offensive line.
I was going to say interior offensive line. Should the 49ers use early picks, they have 2 in round 3, to build around Trey Lance or plug holes in the secondary? It's a good question.
Both.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, with 3 picks in the top 50 selections, which positions need the most attention in Seattle?
Secondary, offensive and defensive line.
And that'll do it for that segment. And last but not least, we still have Gridiron Goofs to go, buddy. And we're doing another draft this week. I've been having fun with drafts, so if this is a pattern, just ignore it and just enjoy it. Like we said before, this isn't necessarily strictly football related at this point. So we are doing best hype up songs. And I think I get first round pick, don't I?
No, you got first before because you got popcorn.
Oh, you're right. Dang it. Okay. Well, go ahead. Let's see what you got.
I don't know where your head's at, but we are going to take the clear and obvious answer here. Or did we say what the draft was about?
Yeah, best hype up songs.
Okay.
Just gonna restate it just in case.
Okay, sorry. We're gonna go with the easy one. We're gonna do "Till I Collapse" by Eminem.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Man, dude, that's a good song. I didn't even think about that one.
Till I collapse.
Yeah. For the number 2 overall pick, we're doing "Dreams and Nightmares" by Meek Mill. I mean, all I can remember is pregame for football, and that's all that we would just scream for the lyrics and everything. So my MacBook's at 27%. It reminds me of football. It's my football number if nobody really knows. Anyway, Yeah, dreams and nightmares for all my Wheeler Bearcats out there listening. We are
We are
doing
going
5 picks, by the way. Just saying.
yes. Stronger by Kanye.
Okay. I'm going the next option is a very actually the rest of my drafts. Man. You know what? No. I'm going with one that throws me back to my Rensselaer days. If you guys have ever played at Rensselaer Central, you guys would know that they love their AC/DC and their classic rock. So I'm going Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
Okay.
Also, we're gonna recap our own teams here because I haven't
This
been
is
writing
hard.
yours down.
This is hard. This is a lot of. Gosh, I only have 2. No, I have 3 picks left.
You have 3. Yeah, we both have 3.
Good. All right, there's one I would be very surprised if you pick, so we're not going to do that. We will do 6 foot, 7 foot.
Okay. All right. So for mine, I don't know if anybody out there listens to Childish Gambino, but
Yes.
Bonfire by Childish Gambino makes me want to run through a wall every single time I listen to that song. So Bonfire.
Okay. My go-to one, I don't feel comfortable saying the full name on air, but if you
Okay.
guys know the song, then you know the song. It's Explicit Word in Paris by Kanye.
How did I know that was the one? Yeah, we're not saying that on air.
Yeah,
for
so
obvious reasons.
Blank in Paris.
The Boys in Paris. You know.
Yeah, The Boys in Paris.
So this next pick,
that was my go-to song. I freaking love that song.
This next pick is probably not well known by any means unless you've played Guitar Hero in the past. I love Guitar Hero, but there's also a hidden meaning to Cult of Personality by The Living Colour. I don't know if have you heard of that song?
Well, I did play Guitar Hero, so
okay, all right. That's like, okay, Legends of Rock was the best Guitar Hero of all time. Don't at me. But yeah, Cult of Personality, please. Okay, but you do know Cult of Personality, right?
it sounds familiar.
Oh my god, dude, it's so good. Anyway, just continue on. You got one more pick. I still have to think about my 5th.
There's so many songs I could plug in here. Do I go with mine? Do I go with everybody else's? Because if it was me, it'd be GOMD. That I love J. Cole. J. Cole's my favorite artist.
You should do Love Me Sexy. Jackie
yeah,
Moon.
well, for the other boys, right? So many different things I could.
Trust me, man. I get it. There's
so many different ways I could go here. We'll do What's Poppin' by Jack Harlow.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I don't know how many people listen to Russ.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure that I get the right one. Okay. I'm okay. We can definitely list honorable mentions after this. Okay. So that's what we're gonna do. For me, I am gonna go ahead. Oh man, it's literally between 2 songs. Hold on. Give me just a second to think. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. Throwing it back to my my basketball days. MVP by Russ is gonna be my last pick. And it's the last song by There's Really on the There's Really a Wolf album. But I mean, it's just okay. I will be honest. At the school that I was at, and I'm not going to say it just because the professionalism, there was a lot of okay, you had your 5th pick, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of politics in the school, so I didn't get much playing time. And there's one line that stands out to me that Russ says, and by no means do I think I was a star player. Okay. There's no way that I would be called an MVP at that old school. But I do feel like there was a chance that I just wasn't given. And so basically in that song, he said, how long are you going to put your best player on the sidelines or something like that? Let me find the thing. What are your honorable mentions in the meantime?
Oh my goodness, dude. I have so many. I could have went humble. I could have went thrown it back a little bit to Still Dre. Um, I mean, we could have done Armed and Dangerous by Juice. I could have gone with a lot of different things. Geez, I wish I could find my old playlist. Did I say Humble by Kendrick?
Good.
Black and
Yeah.
Yellow by Wiz, Energy by Drake, Trophies by Drake.
Oh yeah.
Some Man of the Year by Schoolboy Q. I don't know if you guys have heard this. This wasn't out when I was a high school athlete, but if it was, I would listen. I would have. It's not like a super hype song, and that's my thing. My list would do hype songs, but usually, like before games, I wouldn't listen to hype songs. I'd listen to songs that calm me down, so I can think about the game.
Right. It's the
That's
best
what
way to
I
go.
did. But Bad Man. I don't know if anybody has listened to Bad Man. I think it came out a couple months ago. It's by Polo G, but it's a Smooth Criminal remix. It is. Oof. Yes.
The line that I was looking for in the Russ song says, only time will tell, but I keep feeling like it's my time. How long are you going to keep your star player on the sidelines? But I'm the coach. Guess God is the owner. I guess I'm just waiting for that tap on my shoulder, telling me to go in. I'm going to stop the game, blow the whistle like Snowden. Young Terrell Owens. And then Making Noise. I'm still one of the greats, though. I never RIP. I want MVP written on my gravestone. And I was just like, dude, like this guy's going off. And I mean, he just keeps going too. So listen to that song. Ben, do you want to go ahead and recap your 5 before, we close it out here?
Till I Collapse by Eminem, Stronger by Kanye, 6 Foot 7 Foot by Lil Wayne, A Group of Friends in Paris by Kanye, and What's Poppin' by J. Carlo.
All right. And then for mine, I picked Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill, Thunderstruck by AC/DC, Bonfire by Childish Gambino, Cult of Personality by Living Color, and MVP by Russ. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have made it this far, we want to say thank you for listening all the way through. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Pigskin Project. We have a lot scheduled for next week's show, including our off-season previews and much, much more. So make sure that you're subscribed or following us on all platforms. We'd like to give a big thank you to Anchor.fm and Uppercuts Grooming for helping us promote our podcast. Please leave a review down below as it helps us more than you know. And that's it for this week. So thanks again for tuning in to the Pigskin Project.